Hi friends, welcome back. So 2,600 per share. That's the latest forecast coming for Tesla stock from ARK Invest. And this is on June 12th, 2024. Hi friends, welcome back. And let's go through what ARK is saying. I'll give you also an update on the Elon Musk pay package vote and other things that is going on over at Tesla. And this is what it is. ARK Invest is saying $2,000. $2,600, $3,100. This is the range of projections, and I believe they're saying 2029, so 5 years from now. They make some pretty cool charts here. You can see this. ARK is good at charts, and you can see expected value at 2,600 again. If they don't, they meaning Tesla doesn't solve the autonomy situation, the FSD stuff. ARK Invest is saying you're looking more at 350. If you're curious, and that's by 2029 according to ARK Invest. If you're curious, Tesla's currently trading at 178, so no FSD. Maybe you double the stock in 5 years, what they say. If you get your FSD and your Robotaxi stuff, you're going a lot more according to ARK. This is some of their models, and this I'm showing you guys this stuff because I want you to just sort of more get used to having a critical eye of like, okay, so where you come with this stuff, and also to understand that these are like wild projections for the future. Basically what they're saying here is that the green, that's your Robotaxi, is going to be a bulk of, the value of your company, be it your revenues, be it your EBITDA, be it your enterprise value. Moreover, and I mean, you can look at other stuff. If you want to say electric vehicles, human ride hailing insurance, it's going to be much smaller compared again to the Robotaxi. So they're putting all of their eggs in the Robotaxi basket. It's interesting also too, when you look at this kind of stuff. So, and again, I want you guys to get comfortable and used to reading these sort of tables. This is where we are now, right? 2023, 2024, right? In this range. And then this is your expected outcomes, I guess, or your projections for 2029. The problem with the whole, Robotaxi stuff is right now you're making zero from it. That's a zero right there. And then they're saying, okay, bear case in 2029 is like 603 was this $1 billion, I guess. And then in 2029, the bull case is 951, again, $1 billion, but you're making zero now. This is where it becomes a bit laughable because it's like you're not even making money from the thing now. Like, how do you expect it to be making much money in the future? And they say, oh, Chris, because the technology is awesome. I mean, maybe, but I still want to see money coming in. Here's another thing. They're saying, okay, how soon could Tesla, start making any money from this Robotaxi stuff? According to ARK Invest, by 2025, so next year, 58% chance of that happening. I guess how you say this, percent simulations indicating for, okay, yeah. So I guess it's more like when we think the first one, maybe 2025, and then our other simulations are saying, 2026. That's kind of what they're saying, and they're trying to pointing to soon, right? Moreover, this is something that the Tesla bulls like to talk about a lot, that FSD has a bunch of miles that it's been tested on, and guys, when you compare it to Baidu or Waymo or Cruise is what they're comparing to. I just wanted to state it really clearly. It's not really apples to apples, okay? So let's say these numbers are all correct and Tesla has more miles, okay? But, and also to like to brag about, hey, this is how far we can drive with no crashes. Look at the other ones, they crashed in more miles. But I'll say, let's say, for example, in Tesla's situation, that turns out, all those miles are highway miles where the chance of crash is much, much lower, right? And you just have to drive straight, across the country, that kind of stuff. Whereas something like, say, a Waymo or, Baidu or Cruise, they're driving in a big city, a lot of stop and go kind of traffic. And true, you're not going quite so far, but if someone ever were to release all these numbers and figure it out, because I don't have access to all these numbers, maybe they're doing actually more rides, total, meaning more rides, but Tesla's doing less rides, but more longer distance. You guys see what I'm saying here? So it's not really apples to apples comparison. Also, to my understanding is Waymo's charging money for their robot stuff already. Again, Tesla's not, and I think Baidu is. I have no comment on the whole. If there's other companies that are in this space also. I just know Waymo's the one in USA, and I know Baidu, but I don't know if other companies are again charging for Robotaxi. You guys can let me know if there are other companies that are making money. And so like, why do you bring this stuff up? Because it's like, this is the kind of projections you're making when Tesla isn't making money on this stuff now, but yet suddenly they're going to be making like tons of money. And this is kind of interesting how ARK Invest is like, yo, this is going to be a Robotaxi company in the future. One of the things I want to point out too, though, this is their disclosure on their little projection thing here, and this is what it says from ARK Invest, directly from them. Forecasts are hypothetical and highly speculative and present many risks and limitations. While ARK believes that there is sound basis for the forecast presented, they are provided for illustrative purposes only, and no representations are made as to their accuracy. So basically, they're just saying we can just make up stuff where we want because we can do whatever we want. Freedom of speech, yes. And it's funny, someone mentioned the other day, what's the difference between ARK Invest, and Kathy Wood and the team making these wild projections on Tesla, and then something like, Keith Gill with GameStop, and maybe no difference. So I'll let you guys decide the stuff like that. But I always laugh when you see these things, and I just want to show you sort of, when you ever have this conversation with a Tesla fanboy, fangirl about this stuff, to say literally, it's all based on whether or not this Robotaxi thing makes money. If it doesn't, right, you're kind of out of luck, and so that's what you're betting on. If I ask the robots that I use, what's a fair value for Tesla as of now, and again, robots just look at numbers; they don't look at the story or anything else, so they don't know who the CEO is. It doesn't matter to them; it's just numbers. 97% overvalued, looking at a fair value at $86. If you want to use more common metrics like your PE ratios, etc., you're looking at a Tesla. It depends if you want to use GAAP or non-GAAP. So you're still looking at ultra high PEs, like in the 60s. Your lowest one here, like Ford PE, is like, was this non-GAAP? Ford PE, non-GAAP. 67, Ford PE, GAAP 77. But these are, again, all projections, but you're still very, very high. I like to look at PEG. It shows you your price to growth, right? Price to earnings growth. And essentially you want or something around 1. So if your PEG, if your GAAP, and this is your accounting method here, at 2.93, I'd say, oh my God, that's like 3 times overvalued. If you use non-GAAP, that's like 6 times overvalued. So, I've been saying that for a while. And the thing is like the way that they keep the stock pumped up, they just say, well, there's something more coming in the future. And in fact, it's Robotaxi. Don't you know, Chris? You're so dumb. I said, oh my God, I guess I don't know. And that's why I'm reading through it so that we can learn together how dumb I am. I laugh. So according to ARK Invest, this is a thing they did back in 2023. Autonomous taxis, this is a real headline that they wrote. Autonomous taxis may have the most impact on GDP of any innovation in history. And when I read that kind of headline, I'm more thinking like, could this be the biggest bubble and biggest fraud in history? Maybe. And I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Would you let's just play along and say, okay, you're going to have this great, awesome autonomous taxi technology. Would this have the greatest impact on GDP in history? And let me give you the context. This is a real chart by ARK Invest, guys. This is a real chart by ARK Invest. They compare robo-taxis over at Tesla. They compare it to the steam engine, right, back in 1850 to 1910. They compare it to just robots in general. They also compare it to IT, and I guess that would be internet technology, I guess you could call that, 95 to 2005. And they're saying like robotaxis are going to have this massive impact on the GDP compared to these other things. So I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this. To me, it's all laughable. And not only is it going to be greater than computers and internet and stuff, it's going to be like I guess the Elon Musk ARK Invest or orders of magnitude greater. Moreover, which is kind of interesting when you're talking about GDP, I guess that's your current GDP. That's all the stuff they're saying robotaxis add to. And the thing I was thinking about, and this is something that we talked about before on the channel, is when you're going to be replacing people's jobs with essentially robots, you're going to essentially rupture our system and put a bunch of people out of work. And so like, how does that create value when you're taking away value? They even acknowledge like some things will be changing, like maybe medical will change in their revenue that they take in. Maybe insurance will go down in revenue. Maybe you won't be selling so many cars. That's what they say here. 1.8 trillion in personal car sales is what they say. So it is true that sort of the idea that if Tesla ever were to do robotaxis, it would actually hurt their company in terms of their car sales. And so that's sort of what they're saying, is this is like a robotaxi company in the future. I just find this whole thing laughable, but I'm trying to say it with a straight face to get through it. But it is fascinating that people actually do go along with this stuff. And right now what we're doing is we're voting on Elon Musk's pay package. This is just coming out. This is an interesting one. If you're curious how the vote is going. So according to how institutions have announced, which way they're going, you can see here, Nordbank, I believe that one's the Norway one. They're voting against. They have 31 million shares. Baron Capital, ARK Invest, they're voting for. So vote for Elon. But they're holding 17 million, and ARK has 5 million shares. California State Teachers Retirement System is voting against. They have 4 million shares, 4.61 actually, to be precise. Florida State Board of Administration, they have about 2 to 3 million shares. They're voting for. And then you have Nordea Asset Management and Global Investments voting against. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if the Norges Bank and then the Nordea Asset, or maybe they're both Norway thing. But the Global Investments, you can see they don't have that many actually, 0.1 million and 1.48. That's for the Nordea. So that's who's voting for and against so far that we know of. Elon Musk has claimed that retail's on his side and that the shareholders who have voted, when we don't know which percentage have voted, that's just what he claims, but he's claiming that 90% of them have voted for him, who have voted. And it's interesting because when you compare Tesla to other companies, they actually have a much higher retail holdings than others. But I want to caution you when you look at these numbers, because it does say public and others, and it's hard to know if Elon is including these numbers or not. I've seen different numbers on this. But I can see, though, that Tesla is at 43%. So then again, this is public and others who holds the stock. And then Apple's at 38%, JP Morgan 26%. And this is among the top 15 company holdings. But the basic gist of it is that Tesla has a large interest among retail investors. And it's always fun to talk about this stuff because there's always some crazy news going on with it. The recent thing today was the EU, they're going to be raising tariffs on Chinese EVs. And what does this have to do with Tesla? Well, in fact, if you don't know this, we talked before on the channel, Tesla makes cars in Shanghai, and they take those cars from Shanghai and they ship them over to Europe, and so that's what Tesla would be considered a Chinese-made EV. And so then they were saying here they're going to get maybe even special duties on them, maybe calculate a little bit differently. We'll see how that ends up. This is where you're going to get some political wranglings going on, and Elon lately has been good at how can I say, not making friends. What's the opposite of making friends? Making, well, you could call it enemies or frenemies, however you want to call it. But I think this will affect them, though, for sure. And then obviously the European car brands want to protect their own markets, and in the same way that Elon wants to protect his interests, right? So he's been threatening to ban Apple products from his companies, be it the computers, be it the phones, etc. We talked about this before on the channel. And also, too, guys, I made a video prior, and people had corrected me in the comments, and I appreciate that. And I always ask you guys for help on these things. I say, hey, I'm not sure about said thing. What do you guys' thoughts? And it was whether or not Elon Musk had banned Apple from Twitter. So my understanding is, and they got a couple different answers to this, and I even Googled it, and there were no Twitter posts on Apple's Twitter page, but then I read a couple things. I mean, you can Google for yourself on the internet too, but I read that Apple does, or used to, I guess, post on Twitter, but they would use it as ads, so like paid tweets, or sometimes I guess some people were saying that they post, but then they delete it themselves. So, and then when you throw in the Apple TV, they do post on there, and it was kind of how can I say, convoluted to figure out whether Apple posts on Twitter. But I just wanted to clarify that. That's why I asked for help in the community and stuff. I say, hey guys, is this happening or not? But thank you for everyone for help on that. Also, too, Elon Musk again, whether or not he would ban their devices, and I mentioned this before on the channel. If you're a true Elon fan, I guess you should just throw out your iPhone right now. But the thing is, I think people who buy Teslas, chances are, I think that they have some iPhones as well. So this is kind of an interesting thing to go after. And this has been the big headline the past week in the lead up to the vote on whether we're going to pay Elon with this pay package thing. Remember, he ordered NVIDIA chips that were supposed to be going to Tesla. I guess they're now going to go to X and XAI. And this shows where the priorities are. And it's fascinating that you have ARK Invest saying, hey, Tesla's going to make a whole bunch of money. Your stock value is based on Robotaxis. Moreover, we have that big announcement on August 8th. And this is sort of where you have to be honest with yourself. Do you believe ARK Invest? One. Two, Do you think Tesla can even pull this thing off? And 3, is Elon Musk going to stick around to even try to pull this thing off? So that's where ARK Invest 2600 price target comes from. Please share your thoughts on this one. It's a funny one. And again, by 2029 is what they say. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you on the next video.